So I'm gonna explain how the 75% calling strike thing works, and like how we do that. It's not technically 75% call, but it mathematically it kind of works like that. So the main thing about the build is like we're using Symbol of Demise. And Symbol of Demise consumes all your ward, makes it into bleed chance and bleed duration. The bleed chance is like at 200%, but the bleed duration is not capped at all. Which means, for example, on this character, I am getting about like 25,000. Yeah, around 25,000 ward before it gets consumed. You can get it up to like a lot more. Like for example, when I was using a staff, it was about 30k ward. So you know, you get over like 2000% bleed duration. So obviously you're gonna tell me at that point, yeah, okay, the bleeds are way too long, like this is not really playable, and yeah, it is not. But what we do is like we use Abyssal Echoes, and Abyssal Echoes allows us to consume the bleeds to deal damage instantly. So even though we have 1 minute and a half, maybe around 1 minute to 15 seconds, 1 minute and a half bleed duration on our stacks, we can consume them at any time we want. And so that's where the strength of the build comes. Like for bleed, there's not really that many multipliers when it comes to pop, but duration is one of them. And Symbol of Demise, with the ward generation that Healing Hands allows us to have, kind of enables this item to give us like ridiculous damage. On top of it, obviously we Sentinel, which means we have a lot of fee spend with bleed, which is only Sentinel gets. You get on the chest, you get on the helmet. I don't have it on mine right now, but that's not. You can get it eventually if you want. So basically how the build works, we use Smite to proc Healing Hands to give us ward. Again, the same tech we use on the Smite Healing Hands Paladin build. And that ward gets consumed every 3 seconds and it gives us 200% bleed chance and a bunch of bleed duration. Like, it makes our bleeds last for 1 minute and a half, like I said. And we pop them with Abyssal Echoes to deal the damage instantly. So why I say it's 75% call is that you will always come to a point where if you can deal a certain amount of damage within a minute or under a minute, you will always kill your target. For example, if you fight a boss, I think in the current setup I have, like it depends on your bleed chance, on your bleed duration, on a lot of things, how much hit damage you actually do. But on my character, for example, I will kill anything that I've been hitting, got down to around 75, 78, maybe 80% life. And if I pop the bleeds at that point, they will die. You can see that on that boss fight, for example. So the main problem with the build is that we're not gonna have defense, obviously, since we lose all our ward, we don't have that there. It still works most of the time, but there's always gonna be like a half a second like time where your ward is gone and you have to rebuild it back up. Since our ward generation is really high, it's not that bad. Like it's really gonna be extremely rare for that to kill you, but it's possible. Which is why, unlike the other Healing Hands build, we get life on our gear. I try to get as much life as possible. This character only has 3100, but you can get it up to, you can see on this planner here, for example, it's like up to like 3800 without optimal idols and anything. So gives you an idea that it's basically gonna be mostly a life-based build on the defense that you can rely on, and most of the time you will still have a pretty good amount of ward to protect you as well. So the way it's gonna work for clearing, for example, is like Abyssal Echoes can chain. So the baseline chains 8 times, and we take that node here that makes us have plus 10 chains, which means like you might think that yeah, for clear is gonna feel bad. It's like we have so damage over time with like mostly scaling duration, so the DPS is actually not that great. But with Abyssal Echoes we can do that like constantly. You will like apply bleeds and then it will chain over like the entire screen pretty much. Let's say for example here I'm gonna apply some bleeds to all these targets. Then I press Abyssal Echoes, it just chains on all of them and kills everything. So the clear, that's pretty much how we deal with clear. To do that comfortably, we'll also take Dark Torrent, which allows us to remove the cooldowns on Abyssal Echoes, otherwise it gets pretty uncomfortable to map with. These are the main things. You want to remove the cooldown, we want to pop the bleeds, get some AoE, get some chains. Oh sorry, the cooldown is here, and that's to be able to cast it from range. Because otherwise, Abyssal Echoes is centered on you, and it's not good. Since we're gonna be feel like I can deal damage from range. So the gear the helmet's always gonna have Healing Hands. You always want Healing Hands. We're gonna get life everywhere we can get it. So helmet, chest, belt, gloves, the rings, like amulets, like absolutely everywhere we can get it, we get it. On idols too as well, you can get it here. The idols that I have on this planner are just IDs, what you can have on each type of idol. Do not like Which combination is the best is just up to you. Do you want more life? Do you want more life? Then you just use stout idols, double life. If you want more damage, the main stat is bleed chance on these things and damage over time, as well as increased hitting effectiveness, because hitting effectiveness gives you more ward. More ward means more bleed duration. More bleed duration means more damage. So these are the main stats you want, like chance to bleed, hitting effectiveness, fizz damage over time. Damage to smite also works, since the bleeds are applied with smite, they also scale with the smite, anything that scales smites damage. Basically for every size, I have example of things you can use. Spell Void mana efficiency is also nice to make it easy on the mana with the Abyssal Echoes. Abyssal Echo is pretty expensive in mana, especially when you take that node here. For example, right now for me it's 50 mana cost, so it's pretty mana hungry, but you do not have to press it that much. For bossing, only press it once again when you want to pop the big bleed, once the boss is at around 75% HP. And for clearing, it's like whenever you supply a few stacks on the pack and then pop them. For the weapon, we're using an obsidian dagger or a bone dagger. Bone dagger works too. Gives you bleed chance, it's also good. So I'm not 100% sure which is better. The build doesn't have that much increased damage, so Obsidian Dagger might be better. It depends also how much bleed chance I guess you get from gear. But you definitely want a dagger with tier 7 cast speed. I think this is like mandatory. Cast speed is extremely important to make sure you always get your ward back in between consumptions, in between symbol demise procs. So that is extremely important. You want chance to bleed, fizz pen, cast speed, fizz damage. These are the main stats you're gonna give you. Increase your damage. Fizz pen with bleed, for example, here, like I said, on the chest, that's specific to Sentinel, is gigantic. It gives you a ton of damage. That is probably the most important stat. You can also get it on helmets. Although on helmets you need to have healing hands levels, and you also want attunement, so it would have to be sealed helmets. You can either seal volatile reversal, you seal maybe attunements, maybe bleed pen, it depends. The neck, we're using brass amulets because cast speed again is king. Ideally, tier 7 increase healing effectiveness, fizz pen, life. Again, the damage over time also works. Physical damage works. It all very flexible and depends on what you have, what you need. I did not put any resist on the planner because resist, again, you cap them whichever way you can, either via blessings or idols or suffixes on gear. You just replace some life rolls for res and that's it. On Sentinel, especially on Paladin, it's extremely easy to cap res anyway, so you should not have an issue with that. Like you can see, like if with no gear, no res on gear, like everything is almost capped. Just need to round out the fizz and poison pretty much, some void. Again, you can just spend more points on the passive tree for that. So here's just like an example. Like with gear again, I think the main stats that are important are just healing effectiveness, attunement, cast speed, level of healing hands, physical pen with bleed, the health rolls wherever you can get them. And a code of erase, again here, you use whatever you can find, the best you can find. That is the ideal one. Obviously you're not going to find something like this with cast speed and healing effectiveness. Mine has cast speed. Mine is pretty good, tier 7 cast speed, which is probably the best you like to have. Healing effectiveness is also pretty close, but I would always take cast speed over everything else for this build. And for the symbol demise, again, same thing. 1 LP is extremely easy to farm. It drops from Reign of Dragons boss. And it is a very common drop, and you will easily be able to find a bunch of those with the 1 LP that you can try to slam tier 7 cast speed onto. The ring bases don't matter that much. Again, you just use what you have. Usually the base use will be dictated by the tier 7 rolls you find, so it's not that important. Ideally you would want the ones that are good at things. Opal rings are okay because it gives you int, some attributes. You can use ivory rings. Absolutely fix your necrotic res, which is what I'm doing right now on this character. Yeah. Coral ring is also okay, vitality is good, it's 8 HP. But on that I would use even silver rings, like move speed is very good, you can use gold rings, it doesn't really matter that much. The only ones that are pretty bad, like obviously jade ring, you don't want that, copper ring does do nothing, sapphire ring also. Sapphire ring is all okay, like mana regen is actually useful. But yeah, like it doesn't matter too much, so don't worry about it. Belt, ideally you want armor on it. You can also use some unique ones with the LP, since the mods on the belts are not that important, you don't have that many. But these are what I would go for, like double life, fizz damage, cleanse always want it whenever you get it. The other thing also that I'm gonna remind for people who don't know how we generate ward is with this experimental affix here that gives you missing health as ward, and this is why it enables, again, healing hands to give you ward through Divine Bear. This is how the entire thing works. Like if you do not have that affix here, the build will not work at all. You need that. That is the one requirement, the uniques, so the unique catalyst and that experimental affix are the two main things that you need for the build to work. Everything else is just bonus, obviously, but you need the experimental affix and you need symbol demise for the build to work. As for the skill, the passive tree, the skills, I'm gonna go with skills first. Smite, we go for only Pillars of Light, Sacrifice, Atonement, and then we go towards Balance Scale, so we can just get better clear. That just allows us to clear. It doesn't do anything for single target, but it is really nice for getting a lot more coverage, because otherwise Smite only hits one target, and it's gonna be very, very awkward to clear with. But because we do not need anything here, like this is hit damage, this is crit, we don't scale our damage with any of these things. This is only hit damage, also hit damage, crit. None of this does anything for us. Only thing that matters is that we get Sacrifice, which is gonna actually give you more damage on your bleeds, and get Pillars of Light, which again, 36% chance to double cast, that's 36% more damage. And then the rest will just be lightning bolts to apply more bleeds in AoE and make you clear feel a lot better. Atonement, we actually do need it. Normally you do not need that on a normal Smite Healing Health build, but you have to have it, otherwise you will just kill yourself. Since your ward gets consumed, then you will be constantly at a low HP. So you really want to move the cost so that is actually playable. Healing Hands, nothing special here, we just go for Smite Cast, Right Sheriff to have it for movement. Everything that gives us more healing effectiveness. We don't need the damage on the Healing Hands is completely irrelevant here. And then mana cost to make it free, and all the healing, the urgent healing, like the big thing that gives us a ton of ward, along with Divine Bear and Home Ward to guarantee that every single cast of Healing Hands targets us to give us ward. And then I just take that with the remaining points, just because additional healing per second is nice to keep your life topped off while you're playing the game, since you're always gonna be degening. Volatile Reversal again, very standard for any dot build especially. Got Harbinger of Dust, Time Rifts. I don't think Time Rifts actually affects the up bleed. I'm not 100% sure about this, but it is gonna make your bleed stick for a certain amount of damage, so yeah, you still want that. All the nodes that reduce the cooldown, and with the remaining points, extra points, we get warp time from extra attack speed, so we can spam it on single target. Abyssal Echoes again, like I said, main thing, Sanguinary Eruption to get more, to pop the bleeds. AoE is actually pretty important for the clear, the additional chain, and then it's Dark Torrent, so you can cast it from range, and Time Compression to remove the cooldown, so it's more comfy while mapping. And last is Holy Aura. You could also technically not use Holy Aura and use Javelin instead, because Javelin, you could use the standard, Battle Standard, that will just cast additional smites, and additional smites means more bleeds, and that actually would give you a lot of damage. But I went with Holy Aura just because it helps a lot with capping your res, gives you endurance, which is actually pretty important since we pretty much a life build, and all the other nice stuff. Actually gives a good amount of damage, like 30% increased damage here and like 50% increased damage here. So it's also on top of the cast speed here. So it's actually a decent amount of damage. Gives you res, gives you a lot of nice stuff. The extra cleanse here also is nice. So overall, I just decided to just go with Holy Aura. I think if once you have really good gear maybe, and you don't need Holy Aura for res, don't need Holy Aura for endurance, you could consider going again Javelin for more damage. Again, up to you. Like there's a lot of ways to approach this and how you want to play it. And for the passives, this node here on Smite means that our Smite will actually cost a decent amount of mana, like 8 mana. So we actually have to do something about this, which is normally not a problem with Smite builds, since it's free, since we use wands. But this time we don't use the wand, we're gonna use a dagger, which means we're gonna have to spec into Time in Faith and make sure we never go below 0 mana, otherwise you cannot cast. So we use Time in Faith to make sure the mana stays stable, and that doesn't become a problem. So that part is actually pretty important. Other than that, we just get enough points in the Void Knight for Volatile Reversal and Abyssal Echoes. Again, if you need more Void Res for Fizz Res, just spec more into this point and not these ones. And then Paladin, we're gonna max Defiance, max Conviction, Valor, Holy Icon. This one depends, you could get less points. Like I like to max this early on to solve crit mitigation. 8 points here and like 1 crit avoid roll somewhere. That should be enough. Order the Blessing and 1 small node. Huge. It's always heal yourself, so it's always 70% damage, 70% healing. It's a very big node. And now the one that gives us a ton of damage also is these two notes here. Penance just give us pretty much nothing. It's mostly for redemption. It gives us like 49% Fist Blades, which is huge. And then obviously Reverse of Duality, which is a just big value node, always maxed out. And we're gonna take 3 points into Divine Essence, which is enough to maintain 3 stacks with the cast speed we'll have. You could have like an extra point or two early on when your cast speed is lower, but usually 3 points is enough. And obviously also dedication. Again, like it depends. Do you need res? Do you not need mana regen? You could just reallocate some points here and there. Like it's nothing is like static. These are just the nodes that you want. I would always max redemption though, obviously, and reverse of duality, as well as prayer, and the rest just allocate as you see fit, depending on your character and your gear. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that build is probably one of the builds that has the most damage. Period. Nothing, anything basically that you will be able to DPS down to 75%, 80% within a minute will die to the Abyssal Pop, always. That's probably like my favorite build that I ended up coming up with this season. It's probably not gonna be playable next patch, so if you wanna play that, I suggest do it now. It's very fun. Every boss gets one popped. I'm pretty sure this build, currently I didn't play it for that much, I'm only level 96, so it's, I've played like what, corruption 200, whatever. You kill bosses at that corruption by like 10 times overkill or something, maybe more, maybe like 20 times overkill, so it's, you probably have enough damage for like even 3000 corruption or something. Defense is another story obviously, because we're life based and you know, it's gonna be very limited in that regard, and there's like small cracks where you lose all your ward. So like I think it's an insane softcore build. In hardcore I will still play it, but obviously there's a chance that you can get caught with your pants down. But I'm alive. I'm still alive, and everything's been going well. I've been having a lot of fun. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys have any questions about the build, let me know. I will probably be done with Last Epoch though, so even if you see me play Path of Exile, don't feel free to ask. I'll try to answer if there's some things that were not clear. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.